You wake up every morning feeling like you're already behind, like there's an invisible clock ticking, and you're running out of time for something you can't even name. Throughout the day, you operate in a constant state of urgency, moving from task to task without ever feeling like you can truly relax or be present. Even during supposedly relaxing activities, part of your mind is scanning for problems, making lists, worrying about what might go wrong. You go to bed exhausted, but wired, your mind still racing despite your body's desperate need for rest. You've become a stranger to the simple pleasure of feeling safe and at ease in your own life. Every decision feels weighted with potential disaster. Every interaction feels like it requires careful navigation to avoid some undefined threat. You can't remember the last time you felt genuinely carefree or spontaneously joyful. You've adapted to living in a constant state of low-level emergency, and you've begun to think this is just what adult life feels like. What if I told you that this isn't normal, and it's certainly not inevitable? What if this constant state of vigilance, urgency, and survival mode thinking is actually a sign that one of your body's most important systems has become dysregulated? What if you're not living in actual danger, but your nervous system has become stuck in patterns that were designed for short-term survival, but have become your permanent operating system? This is the reality for millions of people who are trapped in chronic survival mode. And the key to understanding and escaping this exhausting state lies in a nerve that most people have never heard of. Your vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in your body, is the master regulator of whether you feel safe or threatened, calm or activated, connected or isolated. When it's functioning properly, it allows you to move fluidly between states of appropriate alertness and deep relaxation. When it's compromised, you become stuck in survival mode, unable to access the peace and presence that should be your natural birthright. Survival mode isn't just a psychological state, it's a specific physiological configuration of your nervous system. When your brain perceives threat, whether real or imagined, it activates your sympathetic nervous system, flooding your body with stress hormones, increasing your heart rate, sharpening your focus, and preparing you for fight or flight. This is an incredible system that can literally save your life in moments of genuine danger. But survival mode was never meant to be a permanent state. It's designed to activate quickly, help you deal with immediate threats, and then deactivate. Just as quickly, allowing your system to return to a state of rest and restoration. The system that's supposed to apply the brakes and bring you back to baseline is your parasympathetic nervous system, primarily controlled by your vagus nerve. When your vagus nerve is functioning optimally, it provides a constant stream of safety signals to your brain, essentially communicating that your environment is secure and it's okay to relax your defenses. It helps you distinguish between actual threats that require activation and neutral situations that can be navigated from a place of calm presence. It allows you to respond to challenges without getting stuck in reactive patterns. But modern life presents unique challenges to vagal function that our ancestors never had to navigate. We're exposed to chronic stressors that never fully resolve. Work pressures, financial concerns, relationship conflicts, health worries, social media comparisons, news cycles filled with alarming information. Our nervous systems activate to deal with these threats, but they never get the clear signal that the danger has passed, so they never fully deactivate. Over time, this creates a pattern where your nervous system begins to interpret chronic activation as normal. Your baseline stress level gradually increases, and your capacity to access deep states of relaxation decreases. You develop what researchers call allostatic load, the wear and tear on your body from chronic stress that never gets properly resolved. The insidious thing about being stuck in survival mode is that it becomes self-perpetuating. When your nervous system is chronically activated, you're more likely to interpret neutral situations as threatening. Your stress response becomes hypersensitive, triggering alarm reactions to situations that shouldn't be alarming. This creates more stress, which further activates your system, which makes you even more sensitive to potential threats. You start living in a world that feels increasingly dangerous, not because it actually is, but because your threat detection system has become miscalibrated. Your vagus nerve, which should be providing balancing safety signals, becomes suppressed by chronic sympathetic activation. You lose access to the internal sense of safety that allows you to navigate life from a place of calm confidence rather than anxious vigilance. The polyvagal theory, developed by Dr. Stephen Porges, provides a sophisticated framework for understanding how people get stuck in survival mode and why traditional approaches to stress management often fall short. According to this theory, your autonomic nervous system has three main branches, each associated with different states of being and different ways of engaging with the world. The newest and most sophisticated branch is your ventral vagal system, which supports states of calm engagement, social connection, curiosity, and playfulness. When this system is active, you feel safe, present, and capable of handling whatever life brings your way. You can think clearly, make good decisions, connect meaningfully with others, and access creativity and joy. When the ventral vagal system becomes suppressed, you shift into older, more primitive defensive systems. The sympathetic nervous system activates for fight or flight responses, creating states of anxiety, anger, panic, or manic activity. If that system becomes overwhelmed, you might shift into the oldest system, dorsal vagal activation, which creates states of shutdown, depression, numbness, or dissociation. People stuck in survival mode are typically cycling between sympathetic activation and dorsal shutdown, never quite accessing the regulated, connected state that comes with healthy ventral vagal function. They might feel anxious and wired during the day and crash into exhaustion and numbness in the evening. Or they might feel persistently agitated and reactive, unable to access calm or peace even in safe environments. Understanding this framework is revolutionary because it explains why willpower and positive thinking aren't enough to escape survival mode. You're not dealing with a mental attitude that needs adjustment. You're dealing with a nervous system that has become dysregulated at a physiological level. No amount of telling yourself to relax will work if your vagus nerve isn't strong enough to actually activate. Relaxation responses. The modern lifestyle systematically undermines vagal function in ways that make survival mode almost inevitable. For many people, chronic work stress keeps your sympathetic nervous system activated for hours each day. Poor sleep prevents the deep restoration that allows your nervous system to reset. Processed foods create inflammation that interferes with vagal signaling. Social isolation reduces the co-regulation opportunities that naturally support vagal health. Screen time, particularly excessive exposure to stimulating content, keeps your nervous system in a state of subtle activation. Your brain evolved to pay attention to potential threats. So when you're constantly exposed to alarming news, social media drama, or even just the rapid-fire stimulation of modern entertainment, your threat detection system never gets a chance to fully relax. The constant connectivity of modern life means that your nervous system never experiences true downtime. Even when you're physically resting, you might be mentally processing work emails, social obligations, or endless streams of information. Your vagus nerve needs periods of genuine quiet and safety to maintain its regulatory capacity. But these periods have become increasingly rare in our hyperconnected world. Financial stress creates a particularly toxic form of chronic activation because it triggers deep survival instincts around resource scarcity. When you're worried about money, your nervous system interprets this as a threat to your basic survival, activating stress responses that were designed for immediate physical dangers. But financial stress rarely has clear resolution points. It becomes a chronic background activation that gradually erodes vagal function. Relationship stress, and social pressures also contribute significantly to survival mode patterns. Your nervous system is designed to feel safest in connection with others, but modern social dynamics often create more stress than support. Social media comparisons, competitive work environments, family conflicts, and social isolation all signal to your nervous system that your social environment isn't safe, triggering chronic defensive responses. Environmental factors that previous generations never encountered also contribute to nervous system dysregulation. Air pollution, noise pollution, artificial lighting, electromagnetic fields from electronic devices, and chemical exposures all create subtle but persistent stressors that your nervous system has to constantly adapt to. These environmental stressors might not feel overwhelming individually, but their cumulative effect can gradually erode your capacity for regulation and recovery. The physical symptoms of being stuck in survival mode often masquerade as separate health problems, leading people to seek treatment for individual symptoms without recognizing the underlying pattern. Chronic headaches, digestive issues, insomnia, muscle tension, frequent illness, fatigue, and pain syndromes can all be manifestations of a nervous system that's chronically activated and unable to access restorative states. Mental and emotional symptoms are equally telling. Racing thoughts, difficulty concentrating, emotional reactivity, mood swings, anxiety, depression, irritability, and a persistent sense of unease all reflect a nervous system that's operating from defensive rather than regulated states. Many people seek treatment for these individual symptoms without recognizing that they're all connected through autonomic nervous system dysfunction. Behavioral patterns also reflect survival mode operation. Workaholism, perfectionism, people-pleasing, addiction patterns, emotional eating, shopping compulsions, and other compulsive behaviors often represent attempts to manage the internal sense of threat and instability that comes with chronic nervous system activation. These behaviors might provide temporary relief, but they don't address the underlying dysregulation that's driving them. The social and relational impacts of survival mode are profound, but often overlooked. When your nervous system is chronically activated, you're less available for genuine connection and more likely to perceive others as potential threats rather than sources of support. Relationships become transactional rather than nourishing, focused on managing potential conflicts rather than enjoying mutual presence and care. Many people in survival mode develop hypervigilance around other people's emotions and reactions, constantly scanning for signs of disapproval, anger, or rejection. This creates exhausting social interactions where you're expending enormous energy trying to manage and control how others perceive you rather than simply being authentically present. The creativity and joy that come naturally with regulated nervous system function become inaccessible when you're stuck in survival mode. Your brain prioritizes immediate threat assessment over exploration, play, and creative expression. You lose touch with activities that once brought you pleasure, not because you don't want to enjoy them, but because your nervous system can't access the states of openness and curiosity that make enjoyment possible. This creates a particularly cruel cycle where the very activities that could help restore nervous system regulation, creative pursuits, social connection, play, relaxation, feel impossible or pointless when you're stuck in survival mode. You know intellectually that these things would be good for you, but your nervous system is so focused on scanning for threats that it can't engage with activities that don't serve immediate survival purposes. The good news is that vagal function is highly adaptable and responsive to targeted interventions. Unlike some aspects of nervous system function that change slowly, the vagus nerve can be strengthened and retrained relatively quickly with the right approaches. This means that being stuck in survival mode isn't a permanent condition. It's often a sign that your nervous system needs specific support to remember how to access regulated states. Fixing your vagus nerve requires understanding that you're not just trying to manage stress better, you're trying to retrain your entire nervous system's threat detection and safety assessment algorithms. This involves both bottom-up approaches that work directly with your physiology and top-down approaches that help create environmental and psychological conditions that support nervous system regulation. Breathwork represents one of the most direct and accessible pathways to vagal repair. Your vagus nerve is intimately connected to your respiratory system, and specific breathing patterns can directly stimulate parasympathetic activation. The key is breathing patterns that extend your exhale longer than your inhale, particularly when combined with slow, conscious breathing that activates the deep diaphragmatic muscles. But effective breathwork for vagal repair goes beyond just relaxation breathing. It involves retraining your respiratory system to support nervous system regulation throughout the day, not just during dedicated practice times. This might involve conscious breathing during stressful situations, breathing practices that help you transition between different activities, or breathing patterns that support better sleep and recovery. Cold exposure therapy provides another powerful tool for vagal rehabilitation. When you expose your body to cold water, air, it initially triggers a stress response, but then your vagus nerve activates to help your body adapt and recover. This process, repeated over time, significantly strengthens vagal tone and improves your nervous system's overall resilience and flexibility. The beauty of cold exposure for survival mode recovery is that it provides concrete evidence that your nervous system can handle stress and return to calm. Many people stuck in survival mode have lost confidence in their body's ability to self-regulate. Cold exposure demonstrates that you can activate, adapt, and recover, helping rebuild trust in your nervous system's natural resilience. Movement practices that specifically support vagal function can be incredibly healing for people stuck in survival mode. This isn't about intense exercise that further activates your system, but rather gentle, rhythmic movements that help discharge trapped stress energy while supporting parasympathetic activation. Yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, walking in nature, dancing, and even simple stretching can provide powerful vagal stimulation when approached mindfully. The key is movement that feels good in your body rather than movement that feels like another item on your survival mode to-do list. Many people in survival mode have lost touch with the simple pleasure of moving their bodies in ways that feel nourishing rather than demanding. Reconnecting with this capacity can be an important part of nervous system healing. Vocalization and sound therapy offer unique pathways to vagal repair because your vagus nerve directly innervates the muscles of your throat and vocal cords. Humming, singing, chanting, toning, and even talking can provide direct vagal stimulation when done consciously. Many traditional healing practices incorporate sound specifically because of its powerful effects on nervous system regulation. For people stuck in survival mode, vocalization can be particularly healing because it combines nervous system regulation with emotional expression. Survival mode often involves suppressing emotional responses in favor of constant vigilance and control. Safe vocalization provides a way to move trapped emotional energy while simultaneously supporting physiological regulation. Social connection and co-regulation represent perhaps the most powerful tools for vagal repair, though they can also be the most challenging for people stuck in survival mode. Your nervous system naturally regulates in the presence of other calm, regulated nervous systems through a process called co-regulation. When you're around someone who feels genuinely safe and calm, their nervous system can help stabilize yours. But building these relationships requires gradually expanding your capacity to feel safe with others, which can be difficult when your threat detection system is hypersensitive. This often involves starting with very safe relationships, perhaps with pets, nature, or one or two trusted individuals, and gradually building your tolerance for social connection. as your nervous system healing progresses. Professional support can be crucial for vagal repair, particularly for people whose survival mode patterns are rooted in trauma or early life experiences. Trauma-informed therapists, somatic practitioners, and other nervous system specialists can provide the safety and expertise needed to navigate the healing process without overwhelming your system. Working with professionals who understand polyvagal theory and nervous system regulation can help ensure that your healing process is appropriately paced and supported. They can help you recognize when you're pushing too hard or moving too fast, and provide tools for managing the temporary increases in activation that sometimes occur during nervous system healing. Environmental modifications can significantly support vagal repair by reducing the constant stream of subtle stressors that maintain survival mode activation. This might involve creating quiet, safe spaces in your home, reducing exposure to alarming news and social media, improving air quality, managing noise pollution, or making changes to lighting that support circadian rhythm regulation. The goal isn't to create a perfectly controlled environment, but rather to provide your nervous system with enough environmental support that it can begin to relax. It's hypervigilant scanning for threats. Even small environmental changes can have significant impacts on nervous system regulation when they're approached consciously. Nutrition plays important roles in vagal function and survival mode recovery. Chronic inflammation from poor diet, food sensitivities, or gut health issues can interfere with vagal signaling and maintain nervous system activation. Anti-inflammatory foods, gut healing protocols, and addressing any underlying nutritional deficiencies can provide important support for nervous system healing. But it's equally important to approach nutrition changes from a place of self-care rather than survival mode perfectionism. Many people stuck in survival mode turn dietary changes into another source of stress and control, which defeats the purpose of supporting nervous system regulation. The goal is nourishment that feels good rather than rigid adherence to perfect protocols. Sleep hygiene becomes crucial for vagal repair because quality sleep is essential for nervous system restoration and repair. Survival mode often involves disrupted sleep patterns, either inability to fall asleep due to hypervigilance, or poor sleep quality that doesn't provide adequate restoration. Creating conditions that support deep, restorative sleep can significantly accelerate nervous system healing. This involves both practical sleep hygiene measures and addressing the nervous system activation that interferes with sleep. Evening. Vagal activation practices, environmental modifications that support sleep, and daytime practices that reduce overall activation can all contribute to better sleep quality and faster recovery from survival mode patterns. The timeline for vagal repair and survival mode recovery varies significantly between individuals, but most people begin noticing changes within weeks of consistent practice. Initial changes might be subtle, slightly better sleep, moments of unexpected calm, reduced reactivity to minor stressors, or increased tolerance for social connection. Deeper changes typically unfold over months of consistent practice. You might notice that you can handle stress without getting completely overwhelmed, that you recover more quickly from difficult situations, that you can access joy and creativity more readily, or that your relationships become more satisfying and less effortful. The long-term vision of vagal repair goes beyond just escaping survival mode. The goal is developing what researchers call nervous system flexibility, the ability to activate appropriately when challenges arise, and then return to regulated, connected states when the challenges pass. This creates genuine resilience, rather than just better stress management. Many people describe the process of healing from survival mode as remembering how to be human. They reconnect with capacities for joy, creativity, spontaneity, and authentic connection that they had forgotten were possible. They develop confidence in their ability to handle whatever life brings without sacrificing their essential sense of safety and well-being. Your vagus nerve is not broken, even if survival mode has become your default operating system. It's a remarkable, adaptable system that has been working over time to help you navigate challenges that it wasn't originally designed to handle. With the right support and understanding, it can remember how to provide the regulation and resilience that allow you to thrive rather than just survive. Breaking free from survival mode isn't about eliminating all stress or challenges from your life. It's about restoring your nervous system's natural capacity to meet life's inevitable difficulties from a place of grounded presence rather than panicked reactivity. When your vagus nerve is functioning optimally, you can face uncertainty with curiosity rather than terror, handle conflicts with calm clarity rather than defensive reactivity, and rest deeply knowing that you have the resilience to handle whatever tomorrow might bring.